to GamecockPod Live.
For the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be committed to the University of... Okay, let's go.
This is Rodgers again to the 25, 20, 15, 10. Rodgers scores! Ball is batted and gone. Jackie Bradley Jr. delivered for the Gamecocks. Lost it up, looking for Kelly. Touchdown! Can you believe it?
And South Carolina is sending shockwaves through the SEC.
Frederick lays it in at the buzzer. That's a win! Unbelievable! I don't believe it!
And now, live from Studio 54 of the Gamecock Pod Studios, here's the cockfather himself, Keith Alsep.
All right, everybody, welcome into Gamecock Pod Live for September the 27th, episode number 1314. And right off the top, big shout out to my dude, Brent Skinner, owner of BP Skinner Clothiers, located right there in the Vista at 1003 Gervais Street for this sweet lid that I'm wearing today. It's the same as the cap he designed for Spencer Rattler. Rattler likes the gray ones. Swung by on Friday while I was in town and got to hang out with Brent. And, man, nobody loves the Gamecocks more than him. That's for sure. So major shout out to him. So the Mack attack is back. We're going back to back with Chandler Mack today, the 2023 South Carolina Sportscaster of the Year from WLTX in Columbia. He will be joining the show in just a few minutes, but let's get started and dive right into our Nana Sports news, notes, and headlines. Brought to you by Nana's Porch, an award-winning full-service catering company servicing the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. Whatever your catering needs, Nana's Porch has got you covered. Whether it is a banquet, a wedding, a corporate event, a big backyard bash to celebrate the cooler weather with a whole hog barbecue, Nana's Porch has got it all. You want to bring in a food trailer? Nana's Porch, voted among the top 3 in Charlotte, according to the local newspaper poll. And as we all know, their pimento cheese, both number 1 and number 2 by the North Carolina Specialty Foods Association in the meat and cheese category, whether it's smoky, jalapeno, or regular flavor. It is delicious. Go to nanasporch.com, NANASPORCH, and support this Gamecock-owned and operated business, just like BP Skinner Clothiers in the Vista. If you want fine, specially tailored clothes, Brent Skinner, among the best. All right, so today we're going to start with men's basketball. Lamont Paris had landed a commitment yesterday from 2025 top 150 forward Hayden Asemian, 6'8", 220 from Powdersville High School. That's the first commitment for 25. Gamecocks on the verge of landing their second commitment from 2024, along with Ukko Federico from Finland, as 6'6" sharpshooter, 2024 top 150 swingman Trent Noah from Harlan, Kentucky, crystal balled and projected to commit to the Gamecocks. He visited over the weekend. I wonder if maybe is he related to Raylan Givens or maybe even Boyd Crowder. Honestly, I didn't know Harlan, Kentucky was a real place until this guy popped up. So in case you missed it on Monday, Spencer Rattler and Boogie Huntley honored by the SEC. Spencer Rattler was named the co-SEC Offensive Player of the Week, and Huntley was the Defensive Lineman of the Week. A little boogie shoes to him on Monday's show on the way out. Rattler, 18 of 20, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 43 yards rushing. Of course, he had the 2 huge plays to Xavier Legette, 76-yarder, in which he was clocked at 22.3 miles per hour, which was faster than Tyreek Hill and every other playmaker in football, college or the NFL. Rattler more touchdown passes than incompletions, and he really should have been 19 for 20, or maybe even 20 for 20 or 19 for 19. Trey Knox dropped one, and then you would take away the incompletion on a potential pass interference call. Boogie Huntley had a pair of sacks, 3 tackles, and broke up 2 passes and a part of the win, and held the SEC's number 1 rushing offense, Mississippi State. They were averaging 170 yards per game to just 32 yards on 23 carries. That marks the 2nd week in a row a Gamecock defensive lineman has been named SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. TJ Sanders had 9 tackles and was amazing last week at Georgia. And so defensive lineman emerging for the Gamecocks. On the injury report, still waiting for Shane Beamer on the SEC teleconference. I don't know if we have an update on the injuries there. But yesterday, Shane Beamer said Juice Wells out for Tennessee. They're hoping to get him back after the bye week. Amarian Brown should be back. O'Donnell Fortune should be back. Ja'Kai Moore has a shoulder. He should be back. He didn't practice yesterday, but I'm anticipating Trevon Ball being in that starting lineup. Xavier Legette leads the NCAA in receiving yards. This from Chandler Mack. In Xavier Legette's career up until this season, 42 catches, 423 yards. This year, 27 catches, 556 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's number 1 in the NCAA. Also 139 yards per game receiving. Also number 1 in the SEC. All right. We'll be back with Chandler Mack right after this commercial message.
If you enjoy listening and watching the free Wednesday show, now live streaming on YouTube, and would love more Gamecock Pod daily, join our growing Gamecock family by becoming a monthly or annual subscriber. You'll be able to listen to the show every day of the week and listen to guests like J.C. Sherbert, Hale McGranahan, and John Whittle from thebigspur.com, Colin Taylor and Mike Uva from Gamecock Central, Emily Adams from the Greenville News, Ben Portnoy, Michael Lanana, and Jeremiah Holloway from GoGamecocks.com, Michael W. Bratton, the host of That SEC podcast, and many, many more. As a VIP subscriber, you can join or listen to the weekly live Zoom call with up to 100 of your favorite Gamecocks and friends. After the show is an unrecorded overtime segment where the real scoop gets dropped and discussed. It's like going down to your local pub or sports bar and having a conversation with your Gamecock friends about last week's football game, men's and women's basketball games, and Gamecock baseball. And of course, there's always recruiting to discuss. In addition to the weekly Zoom call, VIP subscribers get the most popular podcast, The Morning After, which is released every Sunday morning during football season, and more VIP perks are in the works. Follow Keith on Twitter at KAllset, or follow the show on Twitter at GamecockPod. Go to the top of the homepage and follow the link. If all else fails, go to patreon.com/GamecockPod Daily. Join now and get up to 3 months free off an annual VIP subscription. You will love it, guaranteed. Now, back to Gamecock Pod Live.
All right, guys, let's get ready to go out onto the mybookie.ag video line and bring in Chandler Mack. As we all know, Aaron Rodgers' season is officially over, but yours has just begun at mybookie.ag, whether it's NFL, college football, baseball playoffs, WNBA playoffs are coming up. MyBookie.ag now offering a brand new cash out system, giving you options to bet and win all season long. If the first two legs of your parlay hit, you can cash out early and place another bet. Or if you're like me, sometimes you just want to let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Join us at MyBookie for an entire season filled with daily odds boosts, same game parlays, and huge prize pool contests. Right now, MyBookie.ag has a no strings attached cash bonus that lets you deposit and withdraw quick. Use the promo code GAMECOCKS50 on your first deposit of $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly credited to your MyBookie account. That's Gamecocks50 to claim your cash bonus now. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.ag. And, well, we were going to welcome in Chandler Mack, and he disappeared. So while we're waiting on him to get in, Mel Tucker officially fired. Oops, there he is.
Hey.
Hey, my man.
What's going on, Keith? My bad, man. Yeah, I was trying to put my AirPods in and all that and connect them, but I have two phones. I have a work phone, I have my personal phone, and they were connected to my personal phone. So I had to go to settings and connect them and all of that. Yeah, my fault about that. How y'all doing?
Hey, everybody is doing great. I'm kind of battling it. The last week wore me out. The stress of Charlotte and everything, and getting 3 hours sleep the night before I flew back, and then one of the worst flights I've ever been on. I think the only worst one was when first time I flew into Boston to Logan, and the plane almost flipped over when we landed.
Yeah.
Your body just wears down. It lets you know. So I got kind of a raspy voice. So I'm sucking on a cough drop and drinking some hot tea. No hottie toddy yet. It's too early for that. But
yeah, for sure.
Probably one coming. So, hey, before we talk about the Gamecocks, we got to go to what the flip are you thinking things, right? We're keeping it PG for the kid.
Yeah.
Mel Tucker gets a 10-year, $95 million contract. Dude, all you have to do is not become a sexual predator.
Dude.
Right? If
Yeah.
they fire you, you still getting $95 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was notified last week he was being fired for cause. Today, they fired him for cause and terminated. Dude is not getting another penny. And if the allegations are true, and obviously everybody is innocent until proven guilty, I mean, we all know OJ got away with it, but that was a long time ago. But still,
Yeah.
Man,
You got wonder what
thoughts
goes
about
on in
that?
people's heads. Yeah. I mean, it's just come on, man. Crazy situation. Like, gosh, yeah. You literally all you have to do is not do bad things. You're gonna get a lot of money. You don't even have to win football games, bro. Like, just don't do nothing stupid. And crazy situation, Keith, for real.
All right, so hey, my man, how in the world is Asia Wilson not the MVP? And she finishes third in the voting. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Yeah.
What is that about? What do you think Dawn Staley's immediate reaction was when she saw that?
I think she
did
was
the
shocked.
Starbucks go into the wall or?
Exactly. Probably all of that action, Keith. All of that action, literally, man. It was just, okay, so she averaged, I think Asia averaged 22.8. I think Stewie may have averaged something close to that. I mean, their numbers are pretty.
No, 28 points. Asia was number one, 28 points per game, number one in rebounds, number one in block shots.
Yeah. And that's it. And like, the one thing that Stewie did have an edge on her on, I think, was free throw percentage, and then she had an edge on her for assists. But that's because Asia's playing with Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum. Like, she doesn't really have to be the playmaker. She probably could if she wanted to, and she probably has the full capability of doing it, but she doesn't have to. And and then had the best record, right? And you can say, okay, well, Asia's playing with 3 to 4 Hall of Famers. But she's the best player on that team. And that team doesn't win as many games without her, right? So it's just, I'm not mad at Stewie getting the award, but it's just like the fact that Asia finished third. But, she showed everybody last night, hey, we take this personal over here, like Michael Jordan, Deion Sanders. So, it's going to be a fun ride, man. I'm really excited. I'm hoping that that's going to be the matchup in the finals. I think every basketball fan, not just, women's basketball, men's basketball, I think everyone is hoping for that matchup and to really see, okay, who is the best in the game. But you know us, Keith, we ride with number 22 until the wheels fall off.
That's exactly right. Hey, she's got a statue. So I kind of thought it was a cop-out, right? Like they gave Asia Defensive Player of the Year, and then Stewie MVP. I also think it's a regional bias thing and a UConn thing because now she's back on the East Coast, right? And then the lady that finished second, she played for the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah.
And, man, I mean, I'm just
baffled.
I just think it's disrespect. It's disrespecting Gamecock women's basketball. It's disrespecting the best player in the world. Literally.
Yeah, that she couldn't even finish top 2. Yeah, I agree. And then maybe they're like, all right, Asia, like you've already won 2 MVPs. You already won Finals MVP. We giving you Defense Player of the Year again, even though, coming out of college, that's the crazy thing. Coming out of college, everybody said, oh, well, her defense, even Don was like, yeah, Asia never really took defense serious, but now look at her. She's become the best defensive women's basketball player in the world, right? It's wild, man. I mean, and she didn't have to. I think that's the thing that I admire most about her. She was already good enough, great enough on offense to where, you could coach on defense and do your thing, but she was like, nah, I'm going to get in the lab. I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to become the best at it because people are saying I'm not that good at it. So let me get in the lab. She was already MVP, Keith, and she got in the lab and became the best defender in the league. So I I mean, I admire her so much, man. And yeah, like I said, she gonna show the world, okay, y'all gonna give Stewie that? All right, keep that same energy when we get this chip.
She'd probably rather have the trophy, right?
Absolutely. You know it. You know her. Yeah, she want that trophy. Yeah. So
And she's like Larry Bird back in the day. It's like she adds something new to her game every year. Now she's stepping back. She's hitting the three. She's forcing people to come out and guard her that far away. And if they don't, she can knock in the three. Or if they do, she's going by them like she goes by everybody from that. Well, they call it the nail. We call it the elbow, but.
Yeah. Same thing. And then if you foul her, hey, guess what? She shoots 81% from the free throw line. So that, like I said, best female player in the world for sure, man. And one of the best female or male hoopers in the world, hands down, is definitely A'ja Wilson. And Stewie is too. But like I said, we rocking with number 22 till the wheels fall off.
That's right. So hey, one shout out before we get into it, Britons of Columbia, for this beautiful polo that I'm wearing with the cocky head on it, the mean looking Gamecock. Love it. Go see Perry at Britons of Columbia down in 5 Points, 2818 Divine Street. Man, that guy, he loves the Gamecocks. All right, so Chandler, I pride myself on kind of being a Gamecock historian, one, because I'm about to be older than dirt, and number two, because I've been following it all my life. But I don't think I can ever remember a team starting the game with a 98-yard touchdown drive and a 99-yard touchdown drive. South Carolina started fast, went up 14-0, and that dude, which I actually quoted your tweet earlier on what he had done his entire career and then what he's done this season. He leads the NCAA in passing yards and yards per game. And on that 76-yard run at 6'3", 227, he was faster than Tyreek Hill.
Exactly.
He's probably the fastest dude I've ever seen.
Exactly.
On a football field in my life. I just go back to that end of that Buffalo Kansas City game a couple years ago when Buffalo had him beaten. Dude takes a pass down the sidelines with like 13 seconds left.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. I mean, until now. And I was there. I was in the zone, and he was coming right at me. And, it's kind of like the Flash, when all the debris and stuff blows past you. That's kind of what it was like.
Yeah, dude, Keith, I was down on the field and I was shooting it. And when I tell you this, I knew X did it. I knew Zay did it, man, because I was shooting and I was having trouble keeping up with him. It was like he was outrunning my shot. I was like really going fast to keep up with him with my camera to make sure I followed him. I was like, nah, that was the fastest I've ever seen a player run on a football field. I'm talking about at any level, right? So when the numbers came out, shout out to Real Analytics for putting that out there, he was at 22.3 miles per hour. I knew. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right, man. And like you mentioned, to do that at 6'3", 227. If you've ever seen Zay without pads on, dude's a tank. I mean, it's
he is a tank.
Straight muscle, right? So it's just, man, for him to do that, I was like, that's wild. But as you mentioned, I mean, 189 yards, 5 catches, broke Alshon's record for most yards per catch that Alshon set back in 2012 in the Capital One Bowl. I mean, my goodness, man, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe what he did. And again, I mean, it's just, he's kind of said it all off season and all season when we've had a chance to talk to him. Hey, I put this work in. He literally started the day after the season, the day after the Clemson game. Dal Loggins told us the day after the Clemson game last year, he was in the lab. He was in the gym. He was working. And then we saw it come to fruition in the Gator Bowl when he had 2 touchdowns and I believe over 100 yards in the Gator Bowl. The Gamecocks lost, and then we had a chance to talk to him after the game, Keith. And I just remember he was in such good spirits because he could have left. He could have either gone to the draft or entered the transfer portal, but he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay." You know, in that Zay voice, right? Like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay, man. You know, I got unfinished business and all that." And they literally told us after that he was in the lab. He was still in the lab working, right? He's worked out with Deebo Samuel, former Gamecock and now NFL All-Pro receiver. He did that in the offseason. He made sure he worked out with Spencer in the offseason as well. And now we're seeing it. I mean, Spencer said it yesterday during media availability. He was like, "Yo, we're not surprised. You guys are surprised by what Zay's doing, but we knew that he was capable of doing this." And man, it's just so great because if you know him and if you know his story, like, yeah, it's just really awesome to see him doing what he is doing now. But yeah, like you said, I mean, 6'3", 227 can run like that. That's something different.
I mean, that's like that dude from Ole Miss a few years ago and Julio Jones level stuff. And I'm talking about Julio Jones in his prime. I'm not talking about old, injured, beat up Julio Jones that, the Falcons traded.
Yeah.
And he was out of gas, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, what this guy is doing, it is really unbelievable. And I mean, the dynamic duo, we mentioned it last week, Rattler and Xavier Legette, I mean, that continues. I wish I had it, but somebody put up like Rattler's, last 7 games or whatever that sits, like Tennessee, Clemson, the bowl game, and then the first 4 of this season.
Yeah.
I mean, just this season, he's 95 for 128, 7 touchdowns. The only balls he put up in jeopardy were in the last 3 minutes of the Georgia game. I mean, if you took out that 3 for 19 quarter,
yeah,
I mean, he would literally be completing about 90% of his passes for the season.
Yeah.
I mean, it is ridiculous what he's doing. And then they had Mississippi State in a man beater to start the 4th quarter, and the receivers ran him off, and he takes off down the sideline for the big run. He had a critical 3rd down run for a 1st down. I mean, on 3, they got their top 25 quarterback rankings, and Rattler is not in the top 10. And
wow.
I don't understand that. Hey, look, Caleb Williams, he's the reigning Heisman winner. Drake May, I mean, he did not outduel Spencer Rattler. North Carolina won that game mostly because South Carolina's defense could not get a stop. Rattler was clearly the best quarterback on the field.
Yeah. Keith, all he did was go 30 for 39. And by the way, he got sacked 9 times. He was over 300. Yeah. I mean, I think he threw over 300 yards and all that in that game. I mean, yeah, he did his thing, right? And I actually have that stat for you. Yeah. So for a 6+ quarter stretch from the end of the North Carolina game through the first half of the Georgia game, dude went 46 for 50. Like you said, take that, the 6 for 24 of the second half out against Georgia. Dude is on one. Literally, man, he is on one this season, and it's just like you mentioned, he picked up right where he left off. Like, he had that bad second half against Georgia, which again, he was trying to make plays, trying to do things. So I mean, I don't really blame him for that because he was trying to bring the team back. And dude went 18 for 20 against Mississippi State, right? I mean, it's insane, man. It's really, it's great to see for him too. But yeah, how in the heck he's not ranked in the top 10? That really boggles my mind. I don't really get that.
Yeah. So Michael Penix Jr., 3, Shedeur Sanders, 4, Sam Hartman, Jaden Daniels. I think he will be a Heisman finalist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, bro. I can't roll with Bo Nix. Bo does not know football like Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Okay. Drew Allar, I do like him. Dylan Gabriel. Dude, come on. I mean, J.J. McCarthy, I'm sorry. That's blue blood programs. Rattler is ranked number 11. But to me, he should be ranked much higher than that. I don't know if anybody other than Shedeur Sanders at Colorado is more important to their team than Spencer Rattler is to South Carolina.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, even though I feel like if Luke Doty did have to step in, or if Lenore Sellers did have to step in, God forbid if Spencer did get hurt, I think just off of heart and will, the Gamecocks could probably get bowl eligible. So with Spencer, the sky's the limit. I mean, you could do really great things. And then, I mean, you mentioned Bo Nix, you mentioned all these other guys. Dude, look at who they're playing, right? And then look at who the Gamecocks are playing, right? The Gamecocks have played, two top 25 teams, right, in Georgia and North Carolina, one of them being the 2-time national champions and the team that hasn't lost a game in almost 2 years in Georgia, right? And then you played Furman, who's ranked 6th right now in FCS football. I mean, so it wasn't like it was a cakewalk. And then even Mississippi State, they're a decent team too. So I don't get it, man. Like how you can look at all of that, look at who the Gamecocks have played, which I'm sure we're going to get to and dive into, like just how battle tested this team should be going into Tennessee, given the tough schedule and the tough road they've had. But and literally say, okay, look at that schedule and then look at the production that Spencer has put up, right? Leads the SEC in completions. It's like top 10 in the country in passing yards. I just don't know how you can say, yeah, that's not a top 10 quarterback. But again, to each his own. I think maybe people are waiting to see, okay, well, what does he do against Tennessee? Yeah, he's done this against Georgia. Yeah, he's done it against North Carolina, Mississippi State. But can he do it for a full 4-quarter game against Tennessee? And we'll find out Saturday. I'm confident he will.
I think he's in the zone. So Super Mario, we talked about it last week. He got his shot and he emerged. I thought he was outstanding. There wasn't a lot of big holes, but that dude's quick twitch, and he found some room several times where there was no room and ran hard, ran tough. Caught a pass out of the backfield, was outstanding in blitz pickup. 26 carries, 88 yards. South Carolina had no lost yardage run plays against that exotic 3-3-5. Zach Arnett, one of the best offensive minds in college football. Shane Beamer flew to Starkville to try to hire him away from Mike Leach. He's the head coach there. I mean, they got some dudes on defense. No lost yardage, run plays. I thought the offensive line played much better. It's easier to do it at home, right? Only one false start penalty. But when they inserted Trevon Ball into the lineup, when Ja'Kai Moore got banged up, they really started hitting their stride. On the depth chart for this week, he's listed atop that depth chart, Trevon Ball or Ja'Kai Moore. Yeah. He's banged up with a shoulder. We all know, Shane on the injury reports. We don't have to go down that road again. But I'm kind of expecting 2 true freshmen on the road at Tennessee Saturday night to be in the starting lineup for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, with Tro and then with Tree, and back to Mario Anderson. I mean, my goodness, give it up to him too. I mean, he's a guy that ran for over 3,000 yards during his career at Newberry. Now, albeit that was Division II level, he said it. Okay, I came in January and I needed time. I needed to learn what being a SEC running back, not just a Division I running back and an SEC running back. And Keith, we know that's different. It's the highest level of football in this league. So you have to know, okay, this is what it's going to take. And it did take him time. But Nick Gargiulo, one of the offensive linemen on the team, I mean, he said it when I asked him about Mario yesterday. He was just like, I watched this guy from the time we got in here in January work his tail off, stay after in the gym and on the field to work on his craft. And he got his opportunity and he ran with it. Literally, right? Literally ran with it. 26 carries, 88 yards, scored that 9-yard touchdown that really catapulted the Gamecocks over Mississippi State on last Saturday. And yeah, I think, we touched on it last week. He gives the Gamecocks something that, because DK is trying to learn, okay, this is how you play running back. He hasn't played running back since B-team football in high school. So he's trying to remember the things that are required to play running back. And he's doing a decent enough job, I feel like. He scored a touchdown in every game. But Rio is a more traditional running back. And there's things that you just can't teach with that he already has because he's been doing it longer than DK has. And like I said, and kind of like Shane Beamer said yesterday, Carrion's done great things and he will continue to do great things for this offense. But it is nice to see, okay, they gave Mario his opportunity and he did his thing with it. And hopefully that can continue as the season progresses.
No doubt. So shout out to Mike Uva, who asked.
Yeah, my boy.
He was a Division II player at Assumption College.
Yeah.
Okay. Carlins Platel transferred from Assumption to South Carolina, and by mid-season, he took over that starting nickel spot. 2 years ago, Jalen Foster, a preferred walk-on at Gardner-Webb, right? He ends up becoming an All-American under the tutelage of Torian Gray. It does, there is a huge adjustment period because, like you said, the only tougher league than the SEC is the AFC and the NFC.
Exactly.
That's what my friend Brad Lauren used to say. And so he's starting to find his stride, and you're starting to see the toughness, the quickness, just the natural ability that he has. Because to me, running backs, you're born with it. I mean, you have the instincts, the vision, the ability to find a hole where there's not one. That's what the greats do. I mean, it's just innate ability. God gives it to them. And plus they've done it all their lives. And that's what Mario's done. DK, he had an unbelievable 3-yard touchdown run because they just missed the guy.
Yeah.
It was third down. And he just ducked under the guy. I mean, I'll say this, Shane kind of embellished a little bit. He didn't truck that guy. He ducked under him and went under him into the end zone. But it was still a very impressive play from the Wildcat. And I think we'll still see DK at running back, but now that's going to allow him to become more of a utility player, a Wildcat guy in the slot, especially – Juice Wells is out. Somebody's got to step up. Amarian Brown, Dowell Loggins said, is just a football player. He can play outside. Hopefully he's going to be back this week. And so that creates more opportunities for DeCarrion to where now he's not just going to be a running back, and you have to account for him wherever he is.
Exactly. I mean, there's opportunities to put DeCarrion and Mario on the field at the same time. Have Mario in the backfield and then have DeCarrion in the slot. And then, you mentioned some of the guys who could step up with the Juice Wells out, AB for sure. Also look at Mega Blake too. I mean, he had a really big game against Georgia. I believe he had over 80 receiving yards in that game, really balled out. And then also Eddie Lewis, right? I mean, he played really good against Furman and caught a few passes against Georgia. So, yeah, man, I mean, you look at the ability of this offense now that you have established a run game. I mean, even without Juice, you really like what you got here. And then when Juice comes back, pair him with Zay and all those other weapons. I mean, it get scary, for real.
No doubt. So we all know Beamer Ball 2.0. We all know Pete Limbo is the dude. Special teams were not special on Saturday night. From Eddie Lewis not fielding that punt that led to the 99-yard touchdown drive. I mean, that's a tough situation. I mean, you're back there, dude. Go get it. Go catch the ball. We saw Josh Vann do it. He was really good at that. I've seen too many other guys get away from it. Don't be afraid of it. It's a football. Catch it. Yeah. Then you had the kick out of bounds after you're up 14-0 in Mississippi State. Here comes the blitzkrieg of LaDietrich Griffin, which we will get to. So, hey, Clayton, I'm not getting on you first, okay? I'm getting on special teams, even though you have blocked me and my dude Brad Crawford on Twitter. It's okay. It's all right, bro. I ain't mad at you. Maybe you got to develop a little bit tougher skin because statistically you ain't been all of that. Okay. So then you score before the half. Man, just kick it, bro. Just kick it. I mean, I know it was there, but Kai Kroger's rolling all the way to the right, and then he's got to throw it all the way back to the left. He didn't get enough on it.
Not at all.
So instead of up 7, you're up 6, right?
Yeah.
Big difference. Then, bro, 9th grade football, you know not to line up over the snapper on punts, extra points, or field goals. The Gamecocks cover the snapper. You get illegal formation. The guy misses a 51-yard field goal. You're going to go in up 6. And you get a 5-yard penalty, 1 untimed down, and the guy bangs it through from 46, and it's a 3-point game. It's kind of like, I don't know, are we getting a little cocky on special teams? Are we – I mean, it's just Kai Kroger has not been as consistent either. Even though he's booming some, he's shaking some.
Yeah. I mean, you can say cocky, no pun intended, because we are Gamecocks. But I would more so say, okay, maybe they're trying to make something happen because they're feeling the pressure of, okay, hey, we were number 1 special teams efficiency last year. Kai did all these great things. Heck, even Mitch Jeter was perfect, right? Hunter Rogers scored a touchdown. The long snapper, shout out my Spring Valley Viking, fellow Spring Valley Viking, Hunter. But like even he did things on special teams. So now I'm feeling like maybe, okay, they're thinking, well, we got to do something. We got to try something. We got to try different things, like be exotic in our packages or whatever, and in our approach. And sometimes that gamble works, and then sometimes it doesn't. And I think Mississippi State game, they tried all these different things like you mentioned, but they just didn't work out, right? And then you had lapses, like you mentioned with Eddie Lewis not fielding that ball. And even though you went 99 yards, statistics show it's going to be very hard for you to continuously do that over the course of the season if you have lapses like that. So I think it's more so that. I think it's just they got to realize, hey, last year was last year, right? Like you may not have another special teams year like that. So let's not, I guess, over pursue that. Because at the end of the day, hey, it's a new year and teams have adjusted to some of the things that we're doing. So let's adjust too. And that might mean fewer fake punts or fewer fake extra points. Like you mentioned, get the points. You could have gone up by 8 and that would have been cool. That would have been great. But you could have just gone up by 7. And then when Mississippi State kicks that field goal, it's not a 3-point game. It's a 4-point game.
No doubt. All right, Clayton. It's your time here, bro. So LaDietrich Griffin, their best wide receiver, their most prolific wide receiver. They've been ground and pound. So hey, shout out, number 1, They had the number one rush offense in the SEC, 170 yards per game. Jaquavius Marks led the SEC in 108 yards per game. South Carolina held Mississippi State to 32 yards net rushing on 23 carries. Jaquavius Marks just 12 for 27 yards with a long of 7, which I think was the touchdown run where they sealed him on the edge down there on their sideline going in. And so if you'd have told me Rattler would go 18 for 20, that Xavier Legette would have a 76 and 75 yard touchdown passes and have 189 yards receiving, and South Carolina was going to score 37 points, I would have said, based on what Mississippi State had done, that game was blowout city.
Yeah.
Right? But Will Rogers, who we mentioned last week, had been prolific under Mike Leach, and all credit to their offensive coordinator for changing it up.
Mm-hmm.
They got LaDietrich Griffin matched up on DQ Smith, who's down in the box, nickel safety. He's almost a borderline linebacker, right? And he was a high school quarterback. He can't cover that dude, okay? So you get me once on that, hey, you schemed it up. But you get me twice, you get me 3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
You got to adjust, bro. It shouldn't take the halftime. Like, look, I've seen Charlie Strong, okay, Tyrone Nix, Ellis Johnson, even Whammy and T-Rob switch guys off on that. Hey, let's put the corner on that guy. Let's put the safety outside. He'll have the flat and play the run. I saw him put J.C. Horn on dudes and said, nah, bro, you going to follow him wherever he goes. That's your guy.
Yeah.
We never saw an adjustment. What's up with that? And you could tell Cole Kubelik's interview with Shane Beamer, he was not very thrilled at halftime.
Yeah. No. And then he wasn't thrilled after the game either, Keith. Yeah, he literally said it. He was like, yo, we let a guy go for 200 yards in the first half. Now, mind you, they did need that halftime, and I think he only had like 50 in the second half. So they did make the proper adjustments on that end. But yeah, that first half was rough. I was just shooting it, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's open again. And it was just every single time. But yeah. But I think I'll give it to Clayton on this. I think their logic was, we are going to stop their ground game. They came in ranked, as you mentioned, number 1 in the SEC in rushing yards per game. The Gamecocks came in ranked dead last, or near, it was the 13th or 14th in the SEC in rushing yards allowed at 145 yards per game. So I think they were like, yo, we are going to stop this. And when you do that, you might open up something. You get what I'm saying? Something else may suffer because you said you've locked in on stopping the run, which they did successfully. And props to Mississippi State. They adjusted, and they made that game a lot closer than I think a lot of us may have thought it should have been. I remember I was on the sideline. I was talking to I was talking to Matt Vereen with Watch Fox, and then Chaz Frazier with ABC Columbia, and we were just like, yo, this game's a lot closer than what it should be. And like you mentioned, Spencer doing what he was doing, Zay doing what he was doing, even Trey Knox had a good game at tight end. I think he had 4 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown. And then Rio doing what he was doing on the ground. That game was a lot closer than what it needed to be. Now, a win's a win. SEC wins. Shane Beamer said it. Very tough to come by. But, yeah, I think you looked at how they played in that first half defensively, especially the pass defense with dude going off for 200. It was like, all right, hold on now. Like, thank God this halftime came. Thank God we got this break so that y'all can figure this out. And props to Clayton, they did figure it out. But yeah, definitely, like you mentioned, you gotta make those adjustments in game, and sometimes it shouldn't take the half to do that. But biggest thing that I can say, good thing is they made the adjustments and they won the game. They got out of Willie B with the dub, and that's what matters.
That is definitely what matters. And hey, shout out, because the first 3 games, South Carolina only had 10 tackles for loss on the season. They had 9 tackles for loss and 4 sacks and 2 huge turnovers. Like Griffin had that one long one. They were in the red zone, and David Spalding made the interception of the year, reestablishing himself inbounds on the sideline. And, whew, man, sigh of relief, right? Because they were scoring there. And then, man, great to see Jordan Strong being really active and getting his groove back like Stella back in the day.
Yeah.
But he's getting his groove back, and he makes the strip, and true freshman Judge Collier has the awareness to play. They didn't blow it.
Yep.
He scooped it up and ran it down, and that's when the Gamecocks really salted that game away, made a 2-possession game, held Mississippi State to a field goal. But those 4 points missed on special teams on the extra point, giving them the field goal, they could not have kicked that field goal there. They'd had to go for it on 4th and long, and maybe you do get a 2-touchdown win. But the Gamecocks held on, and now I think this is we talked about the No Morals Bowl between Jimbo and Hugh Freeze. Right, Bobby Petrino and Jimbo and Hugh Freeze. This may be the No Love Lost bowl between Josh Heupel, who, by the way, more chins than wins over South Carolina since he's been in Tennessee, and Beamer. There is no love lost between these 2 guys.
No. I can remember on the sideline last year, Shane was like, yo, I want to score 70 on him. He went to the guys, was like, yo, we want to put up 70. Got 63, Shane. I mean, you did you did enough, right? You got the largest victory in the history of the Gamecock-Tennessee rivalry for South Carolina, and you got them back because they beat you by 25 in Knoxville in 2021. So it's like, yo, we got y'all back and then some. That's what Shane was thinking. So, yeah, like you mentioned, no, there's no love lost. And I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. I'm going to be down there. And it's going to be – I went to Knoxville in 2021. That was the COVID year. So, and it was a noon game. So it was just not the same vibe, I feel like, as it's going to be this Saturday night game. They doing the little dark mode thing. So, you know, for some reason, when people put on black and the jerseys are all black, it's a dope vibe. I don't know what it does to a crowd or what it does to the players, but it's a different vibe, right? And I'm shocked the Gamecocks haven't done it under Shane, like done the all black look yet, especially considering how many freaking night games they've had. My goodness. But hopefully maybe down the line, you know, they will get that. Maybe we'll get that for Clemson. But yeah, Keith, I'm excited, man, because it's gonna be a good one for sure.
So I think back to 2001, Gamecocks were really good under Lou Holtz, and they had a blackout game against the Gators. And after the game, the head ball coach was like, "Yeah, well, we'll thank all the Gamecocks for wearing the black. It was easy for our guys to find the open receiver in the football." And, you know, they hung 50-something on the Gamecocks that night. It was not pretty, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, game day was there. Lou, you know, Holtz and Spurrier.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big deal. And so I'm kind of hoping the Gamecocks go with the Stormtroopers. And Shane, bro, you know he'll be like Spurrier needling Georgia. I mean, when Marcus Lattimore had his breakout game, Todd Grantham had come from the NFL, and Spurrier, he loved to needle Georgia. He despised it. He was like, yeah, well, guess they don't have that inside zone play in the NFL. And, you know, because Marcus went wild. And, I always loved playing Georgia early in the season, you can always count on them having 3 or 4 key players suspended.
Exactly. Yeah, that it was real, especially back then. Yeah, maybe not.
And with Tennessee, well, I'm sure the Citrus Bowl's glad old Peyton Manning's coming back for his senior year. Can't spell citrus without UT.
Yeah.
And so should the Gamecocks get a win, I'm pretty sure that Shane Beamer will have some say in that post game. Earlier, you mentioned the Gamecocks being battle tested. Shout out to Emily Adams, friend of the show, for asking Shane about that. About, the neutral site game against number 20 North Carolina, going into number 1 Georgia, and dominating the first half of that game, but too many self-inflicted wounds. And the offensive line, Will Muschamp and Kirby were like, we ain't scared of anybody they got at running back, but we ain't letting Spencer Rattler keep doing what he's been doing.
Exactly.
So now Gamecocks go into another, what will be a rabid, hostile environment, over 100,000. I mean, in a sardine stadium. I know you've never sat in the stands there. But, bro, that stadium used to seat 80-something thousand, and they expanded it to over 100,000 without adding a single slab of concrete. All they did was slide the seats closer together.
But, yeah.
And so it will be hostile. Tennessee has not been what people expected. I mean, they took an ass whipping in the swamp that I wasn't expecting. Mike Gillespie was expecting it, though. Shout out to him.
Shout out my boy Mike.
He's a Gator, But what are your thoughts going into this game? Because South Carolina has been in a neutral field, big game between the hedges in Sanford Stadium. What do you expect that to be like Saturday night with the all black? As the older I get, I'm just not into gimmicks as much as I used to be. So I don't know. Stay traditional.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and then also the gimmick can kind of come and bite you in the you-know-what, right? Because then you'll have a situation like it was in 2014 when Texas A&M came to town, played South Carolina, played Sandstorm, did all that. The Texas A&M players were like, yeah, let's go, guys. And they beat them by like, I think what was it, 56-28, the Kenny Hill game, literally. So that, again, it can come back and bite you if you're not careful, right? And I think that could happen on Saturday with the Gamecocks. I think they're gonna go in there feeling like, all right, y'all, we put 60 piece on them last year, and I know they said, the coach player speak this week. Hey, last year was last year, but nah, you go in there a little different, knowing, hey, we can not only compete with this team, we dominated them last year, right? And I know the rosters have changed, all of that, but you're not afraid, especially like we mentioned, because they're battle tested. They played against Charlotte, albeit it was 80% Gamecock fans, probably 20% North Carolina fans. It still wasn't Williams-Brice Stadium. So it was still a comfort level that they did not have there in that game. And you played decent in that game. You didn't play great, didn't necessarily play good, but you played decent. And a few plays here or there, you could have maybe won that game. And then you go play Furman, who, like I said, albeit FCS level, it was still the home opener. It was still a decent team, and you won that game the way you needed to win it, 47-21, I believe, and then come back, play Georgia, and they kind of said it. I think Nick Gargiulo said it yesterday. It's like, yo, you play against Georgia, you play at Sanford Stadium, and Tennessee Stadium has like a higher, more fans that could come there, but you play on the road against Georgia, CBS game, nationally televised game, against a two-time national champs. It's tough. And my thing was after that game, hey, if you could play there, then you can play anywhere in the SEC. You can play anywhere in the country, and you're not really going to be phased. At least you shouldn't be phased. And I feel that way about this game. You go into Tennessee, and again, A lot of those guys is going to be their first time in Knoxville. Heck, it's going to be Spencer Rattler's first time in Knoxville, right? But again, if he played against Tennessee, he played in all those big games when he was at Oklahoma. If you've done that, I think you can go into Tennessee, a team that you hung 60 on and had 6 touchdown passes against last year, and you're confident. And I feel that's what we're going to see. I love the fact that one, Spencer has been balling out, has continued to ball out. He's proved that it's not a fluke. I never thought it was, but some people thought, okay, well, maybe he's just having a good 2-game stretch. Nah, dude, we've seen 4 games of this man be on a very, very high level. I think this is who he is. He's him, right? Same thing with Xavier Legette. 556 receiving yards through 4 games, right? It's the most a Gamecock has ever had, right? He passed Alshon Jeffrey's record that Alshon set in 2010. This is who he is, right? You got guys in the passing the game who could step up, like we've mentioned with Eddie Lewis, Omega Blake, AB, O'Marion Brown coming back, Trey Knox rising. Even Josh Simon had 6 catches. The backup tight end had 6 catches. You still got to carry on Joyner, who could be a Swiss Army knife for you. Mario Anderson, the emergence of him, right, in the ground game. So now you actually have balance. The fact that the offensive line only gave up 9 sacks against North Carolina, they've only given up 8 since that game, right? They figured things out. And even Spencer said it. Some of those sacks was on him because he was trying to keep the play alive, or he was trying to scramble out the pocket when he should have just threw it away, right? So I think all of that, and then considering, okay, your defense may have figured some things out as far as stopping the run. Tennessee's coming in. It ain't going to be easy. They're coming in averaging 230 yards per game on the ground, Keith. It's not going to be easy to stop them, but I like what TJ Sanders is doing. I like what Boogie Utley is doing. TJ had career-high 9 tackles against Georgia, had a sack in that game. Boogie coming off of a 2-sack performance against Mississippi State, right? And you mentioned it. They didn't get a lot of tackles for loss in the first 3 games, had 9 against Mississippi State. I think that's a lot. There's a lot there that you can build off of to where, you can go in this environment in Knoxville and you feel pretty good about yourself. I'm not going to sit here and say the Gamecocks are going to go in there, score 63 points and beat them by 25 points again, but they ain't going to lose by 25. They're not going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose by 14. I think this is going to be a 1-score game. It's going to be a nip-and-tuck game until the 4th quarter, and then you see what happens. I think it all comes down to execution, and maybe you might need a special teams play, right? Or at least be better on special teams than what you have been in the last 4 games. Those lapses that you mentioned, the fake extra point that didn't work out, the offsides penalty or illegal formation penalty that ultimately led to a field goal, Eddie Lewis just letting that ball go and you having to start on the 1-yard line, you're probably not going to go 99 yards against that Tennessee defense that leads the SEC in sacks and has only given up like 2.8 yards per carry on the ground this year. You might not go 90 yards, right? But I think, like I said, take those lapses out on special teams, do your thing on special teams that we know you're capable of doing, and handle everything that I mentioned on offense and defense. I think you should feel pretty good about your chances.
No doubt. So, back to Xavier Legette, Alshon in the house, the jersey retirement. Dawn Staley's on the sideline wearing his Eagles number 17 jersey, and 17, you see Dawn winding up her arm on one of those long touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just really cool. The atmosphere was nuts. That's the first time I'd seen the light show and all of that. I did some videos from the zone and threw those up on social media. But, I mean, let's say this, okay? Tennessee has played nobody other than Florida, okay, where they got their asses handed to them in the swamp, caught like it is, okay? Virginia, not very good. Yeah, you beat them 49-13. Tony Elliott's in a massive rebuild, plus you have what happened last year, that unfortunate shooting incident, which I think continues to decimate that program. Austin P. Hey, I'm all about it. My man Frank Martin's assistant's a basketball coach up there. Let's go P. I mean, that's one of the greatest chants in all college football, right? And then UT San Antonio, look, shout out. They've been great, but they lost a lot of dudes off of that really good team. Tennessee rushed for over 300 yards against them. And so for the second week in a row now, Gamecocks will face the number 1 rushing offense in the SEC. Stone Blanton is coming. Debo's coming. Pup played more snaps. But I think you gotta put a different guy in the slot this week. I think you gotta go with either Judge Collier or Kawan Banks, somebody that can cover, because Tennessee does have weapons. Joe Milton's a big dude. He kind of got banged up last week. He's not been Hendon Hooker, okay? And
no.
I want your feedback on this. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a despicable tweet by a Tennessee fan. And look, every fan base has that guy, right? Like the dude from Alabama poisoning the trees at Auburn and calling the Fine Bomb show. I mean, not very smart, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This guy says, hey, we need to get revenge for Hendon Hooker. I hope we do to Rattler what we did to Marcus Lattimore. Well, dude, what do you have in your heart to wish that on anybody? And number 2, Hendon Hooker but his knee buckled on his own. It wasn't like a dude come in from the side like they did Marcus Lattimore. And I was in the stadium and you could see it, and it was god awful.
It was awful.
Not even close to the same, but I just think, Heupel, Beamer, hanging 63 on them. Their fans complained. I thought those sweet orange lids they were wearing is the best looking helmet they got. And their fans were like, we don't ever need to wear these again.
Yeah.
Because you got 63 hung on you. Now you're going to wear all black, right?
Yeah.
So just your thoughts on that. I mean.
Yeah, nah, man. Yeah, I saw that. It's the thing about social media, man. Sometimes you just look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, people, fine. Kind of what Shane Beamer says, right? Find some joy. Honestly, it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, we're wishing that a young athlete who's worked their tail off their entire life to be at this point where we're wishing for them to get injured, right? And it's just not okay under any circumstances to wish that or to want that. And I was really disgusted. I think the guy only had like 200 followers or something like that. So but it's just. It makes the rounds, right? And it's not the right message to put out. That those type plays, those type injuries, they just have no place in the game of football or in sports in general. So just gotta be better, honestly. That was my thoughts on that. And like you mentioned, what happened to Hendon, it just happened. It was just kind of like the Aaron Rodgers thing, like people being mad at the guy that hit Aaron Rodgers towards Achilles. He didn't do it. It was his foot got caught in the turf. And by the way, I'm a Giants fan, and that MetLife freaking turf. They got to do something with that because a lot of Giants, Odell Beckham Jr., I think Sterling Shepard, Wendell Robinson last year, like tore their ACLs on that turf. So that's story for another day. I know they got new turf, but whatever you did, ask the Jets how it's going. Ask them how it's going, right? But topic story for another day. I just sometimes I say all that to say sometimes injuries like that they just happen, right? They and there's nothing you can do, and that was Hendon's injury. So I was absolutely like you. I was disgusted when I saw that dude or that person tweet that. Like I said, has no place in the game of football or sports in general.
All right, so it just wouldn't be Wednesday without being able to needle that school from the upstate.
God.
that models their program in the name, image, and likeness of Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
1-4 in their last 5 Power 5 games. They lost to South Carolina. They were huge favorites in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Beamer in the house, taking Dabo down at Death Valley. Tennessee blew them out. They opened the season on Labor Day night at Duke, okay? Coach K was not on the sideline. It was not at Cameron Indoor Arena.
Yeah.
And about the same number of people stormed the field. They got beat 28-7.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida State, Clemson, man, I thought, dadgummit, they're going to beat them.
They're going to find a way, yeah.
10-point lead. Cade Klubnik gets hit, scoop and score. FSU wins it in overtime. When was the last time Clemson was mathematically eliminated from the college football playoff in week 3?
Exactly. Yeah, man. It's wild to see. I mean, and honestly, Dabo, he touched on it right after the game. We've beaten ourselves, and they really have. They've given up, I think, 36 points off turnovers this season. And oh, by the way, they only gave up 38 last year off points off turnovers. The entire season, right? Giving up 36 in 4 games. And yeah, when you do things like that, it's going to be tough for you. It's going to be tough for you to win football games, no matter how talented you are offensively or defensively. It's going to be tough for you. And I think the thing is also with them, the ACC's caught up with them. The ACC, the teams in the ACC, all of a sudden, they had their run where they were dominant and they did their thing. But now Florida State has caught up with them. Duke has caught up with them. And I think they're going to have a tough matchup against Syracuse this weekend as well, right? And then they got Wake Forest, their homecoming weekend, I think next week. So it's not like the road's going to get easier for them coming up either. So, yeah, man, it's interesting times. Definitely interesting times in college football in general, because you look at what's going on with Alabama, all of a sudden they don't look like the powerhouse that we're accustomed to seeing them be. So, yeah, but back to Clemson, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, but honestly, Keith, I'm not too surprised. Like, I'm not going to say I thought they were going to be 2-2 right now, but I figured they were going to be 3-1. I figured, okay, they're not going to be top 5. I thought they came in ranked number 9 in the AP poll, in preseason poll. Thought that was way too high. New offensive coordinator, quarterback that I believe in. I think he's going to be good, and he's been decent this year. He's had a few bad turnovers, but overall 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Hasn't played that bad. Now, albeit competition, not the Gamecocks level competition, right? But he hasn't played bad, and I think he's going to be good, but he needs time to learn. He needs time to grow, especially in a brand new offense, right? So to put them number 9, I thought was way too high. Proved that to be the case week 1, right? Even in that game, though, they could have won. They could have won it, but those mistakes, right? That when you're a good team, when you're really, well, not a good team, because I think they are a good team, a decent team, but when you're a great team, you're able to overcome those mistakes. They're not there yet. And I think that's what we've seen. And like I said, I'm surprised they're 2-2. I'm surprised they're 0-2 in the ACC. But I'm not necessarily surprised that they're out of the top 10 right now, because I never thought they should have been in it to start the season, given the fact that you had a quarterback who only made 1 career start. And even in the game that he really played great in the ACC championship, Mack Brown said it after the game. We did not prepare for Cade Klubnik. We had no idea. We didn't watch any film on him. So he was able to come in and do his thing, right? And then even in it was the Syracuse game that Cade came in last year. Go back and watch that game. Will Shipley and Phil Maffa won that game. It wasn't necessarily Cade. He made 1 great throw on the 2-point conversion, but that was about it. He knew, I'm going to give the ball to Will Shipley, I'm going to give the ball to Phil Maffa, and we're going to go home. And that's what happened, right? And I just figured, I was like, yo, it's going to be different for them this year. Like, I think they're still going to be finished in the top 25. I still believe that, but lower the expectations. They're not a top 10 team. Not yet. gonna have to give it time. Clemson fans gotta be patient.
All right, so last question. So the message board mob last year, they all wanted Garrett Riley. Oh, Shane Beamer, he was with, Lincoln Riley. Oh, we got to have Garrett Riley. And then Dowell Loggins, who is he? Why are we hiring him?
Yeah.
Well, maybe Shane Beamer knows a little bit more about it than you do, just like the same dude on the Gamecock message board that says South Carolina needs a cornerback coach because they have terrible technique. I mean, dude, are you a moron or what? Torian Gray is the best defensive backs coach in the country, and he coaches corners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, just see Darius Rush, who's in the NFL, Cam Smith, who's in the NFL, all these defensive backs, Carlin Patel that we mentioned earlier, was in the NFL. And Jalen Foster was a freaking All-American, right? Under Torian Gray. So, yeah, and then Nicky Manwari, freshman All-American last year. DQ Smith was a freshman. Like, all these guys that, yeah, it's
all
crazy.
The dudes from Virginia Tech. Cam Chancellor was a nobody.
Exactly.
NFL superstar.
Literally. Yeah, Legion of Boom for real. But, yeah, man, it's crazy. And then, back to Gary Riley and the Dow Loggins thing. I mean, it's wild because, Keith, I was there too. But then once I looked at the quarterbacks that Dow Loggins had when he was in the NFL, when he was a coordinator. I mean, we're talking about Mitch Trubisky. I don't even know the guys that were when he was at Tennessee. I know he didn't have Tannehill. But basically, a whole bunch of guys that are backups in the NFL now, and they're backups for a reason, right? Because and it's not wrong. I say all this, Keith, there's nothing wrong with being a backup in the National Football League. That means you're one of the top 64 players at your position in the world. So
that's the best job in the world.
Honestly, unless you're Zach Wilson and you got to come in the season, like, damn, I don't know if I'm ready. Both might be too big.
I'm about to get hit now instead of holding the clipboard with my cap on backwards.
Exactly, yeah. Or Zach says, you got the headband or whatever. Yeah, trying to be like Jim McMahon, but it's all good. But yeah, man, you look at that, right? And with Dowell and Garrett, and it's like, okay, he came in and he ingratiated himself with the guys in the locker room. I mean, Spencer keeps saying that he loves what Dowell's doing. And Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, and it's no disrespect to the last person that was here that I know you said we don't mention. I don't recall Spencer ever saying that about the last OC. And he has said it continuously over the last couple of weeks. Well, pretty much all since spring ball, he said it, right? And I think you're seeing it in how he's playing. He genuinely believes in what he's hearing from his OC. I'm not saying that he did before, like last year, or even with Lincoln. I'm not saying that, but it's just a different level that we're seeing. It's like, he believes in what's going on, and he knows that he's got the talent around him to be able to succeed, and he's doing it, man. And I love every second of it. And I think even the problems that the offense has had this year with not being able to establish the run on a consistent basis outside the Mississippi State game, I don't know if you can necessarily blame that on play calling. It's you're trying to shuffle the offensive line and figure that out, and you got a lot of guys who have never started on the offensive line all of a sudden being asked to play a lot of plays, and that takes time to build. And we saw, okay, in the Mississippi State game, this is what it looks like when everybody is connected and everybody is engaged and together. You ran for over 140 yards and you threw for almost 300, right? And I'm not no expert, Keith, but that's pretty dang good. So, yeah, man, I think it's crazy. It's wild because, like you mentioned, everybody wanted Garrett Riley, and now we're seeing, hey, Dow Loggins knows what the heck he's talking about too. And that's no disrespect to Garrett. I think he's gonna be okay at Clemson too. You just gotta give it time. In Garrett's case, quarterback that only made one start coming this season, and in Dowell's case, he had a quarterback that I think made 26 or maybe more, maybe 36 after last. If you count last season starts in his college career, it's a different situation. So Yeah.
No doubt about it. So, hey, I guess, being the 2023 South Carolina Sportscaster of the Year, you are dapping it out today with the blazer. First guest in the history of the pod to wear a blazer. That's just what the Sportscaster of the Year does, man. You bring it in hot. We love it. Can't thank you enough. I hope your back's not hurting too much from carrying me through this podcast. But, man, great stuff. Tell us what you got coming up on WLTX the rest of the week leading into game day.
Yeah. So I'm off the next 2 days. I might go bowling with my dad here either today or tomorrow. And then after that, we got Friday night football. We're still trying to figure out what our game of the week's going to be, but I'll be live at wherever it's at, and I'll be sure to tweet it at Chandler Mack, wherever I'm at. And you guys could, either check me out there or, check me out on the live report at 5, 6, and then 7 as well. And then, we going to Nashville. Saturday, we're going to leave Columbia. We're going to leave me and my photographer, my boy Van. We're going to try to leave around 11 a.m., get to Knoxville, hopefully around like 4, 5 o'clock. And, man, get ready for this game. It's going to be exciting stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to predict a Gamecock victory, but I'm pretty confident about the Gamecocks' chances against Tennessee. So, Keith, man, it's going to be definitely going to be a fun weekend for sure.
Maybe we can get them to retire Peyton Manning's jersey again, like they did in 2005 when Spartans went up there and beat them. Maybe we can get Peyton Manning back in the house. That could be a good luck charm for the Gamecocks. Hey, Chandler, thanks so much as always. Great stuff. And we love having you on. Best wishes to you, safe travels, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again down the road.
Yes, sir, Keith. Sounds good. Appreciate you, man.
All right. That is Chandler Mack, the sharpest dressed man we've ever had on the show, and the 2023 Sportscaster of the Year. So in the Nana's chat box, lots of comments that, hey, the defense needs to come out. Carolina Titan come out with the same intensity they had in the first half against Georgia. I totally agree with that. I agree with JC earlier on the show. Look, let's not pretend Tennessee has this great resume and South Carolina should be afraid of playing them. We don't know what's going to happen. Like Chandler said, Gamecocks are 12.5-point underdogs for a reason. Vegas generally knows, that line last week was 6.5 and Gamecocks got out with a 7-point win. I agree. That's Justice for Hendon gang is hilarious. And that's why, the hillbillies, the family trees go pretty much straight up. There's not very many branches there. And Craig, spot on. I thought the same thing when Mac Brown didn't prepare for Cade. Well, he damn sure didn't prepare for DK, right? And that was awesome. And Dow Loggins, outside of that 1 year with Jay Cutler, he had his best year of his career under Dow Loggins. He's kind of been like Kenny Loggins, all right? This season, he is getting it going, and the Gamecocks are getting it going. So great to catch up with them. And, man, Spencer Rattler, he is having a lot of fun, but he's going to be gone, okay? I do think, depending on how many games Juice Wells is able to play this year and what he's able to put on film, he does have another year of eligibility. I do think there's a chance for that. Craig says, is it time to cut the cord with White or is it still too early? Well, Craig, I think we all know I'm not the biggest Clayton White fan, but, you do have 2 new starting corners. The nickel, they still got to figure that out because, you could put Cam Smith at nickel last year. DQ is not the same kind of coverage guy. Zach Pickens is making plays on Sunday. There's still a lot of football to be played this year, but if South Carolina is losing games because they cannot get teams off the field in year 3, and he does not make adjustments like he did not make against Mississippi State, let's circle back at the end of the season. I said it to start the season. I think he is on the hot seat. And, Craig, I said the same thing. Why not, hey, put Judge Collier out there in the slot or put Kawan Banks at nickel because he's tough. He's physical. Kawan Banks can cover. We saw him have the interception against North Carolina. I like him out there. I think you got to roll DQ Nick, on rundowns. You just can't get out schemed and have DQ Smith covering, Squirrel White or whatever that little dude is in the slot, and have him get run by for long plays. South Carolina, we'll talk about it more tomorrow and Friday. You need to start fast on offense, defense, and special teams. To win on the road at night in the SEC is one of the hardest things to do. You got to bring your defense. You got to bring your special teams. And then if South Carolina can keep Tennessee's defense off for Spencer Rattler and give him a chance, I think the Gamecocks are going to make this one heck of a game. Shout out to Nana's Port. Shout out to my man Perry at Britain's on Divine in Columbia for this sweet polo. Shout out to BP Skinner, Brent Skinner, a great Gamecock. Man, what a great guy. I consider him a friend for this sweet Spencer Rattler designed lid that I'm wearing today. And shout out to all of you who listen. And hey, mybookie.ag, if you think the Gamecocks are covering that spread, go and pick it. Okay, maybe you like some of the early games. Get in mybookie.ag, $50 deposit, and then you got $200 in your account that you can bet. Why not? All right, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for hanging with me with the raspy voice. And, man, special shout out to Chandler Mack. He's got that special vibe. You can tell, just like with Mike Uva, he is going places, no doubt about it. Great to have him back on the show. I'll be back tomorrow, and then we'll have our coordinators, quick hitters tomorrow, all the stuff. Clayton White. I don't know if Pete Limbo spoke or not, but we'll have Dow Loggins, their comments, my thoughts on that, and then Friday we'll have our mybookie.ag game day show. So until then, this is Keith Allsep saying thanks to all of you live. Thanks to Craig and Gamecock Titan and everybody else in the chat and for watching live. Go Gamecocks and God bless. I'm out of here.